This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and this is episode 10. And I have Roger Pollard, who is a former college football athlete. He has coached on collegiate and high school level. He's an author, a motivational speaker, a teacher. Is there anything else I missed, Roger?
I'm here. I'm blessed. That's it.
Great. That's all we could ask for.
There it is. We still moving. Still moving.
Exactly. Thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
I got to give a shout out to Shadrach, aka
Yeah.
Shaddy, our
Yeah.
mutual friend.
My guy. Look at things, making things happen.
Right? He was on season 1, episode 6, Walk Before You Run. So definitely, folks, check that out if you haven't. But yeah, he's our mutual friend and connected us to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't seen him. It was. I mean, if Facebook is good for anything, it's given us the ability to continually connect with people who, damn, it's been since middle school.
Mm.
And like I tell my students, I'm always dating myself. But um, when we were in middle school, there was no internet, right? There was no Facebook. There weren't even cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
So being always being one swipe away from somebody that you had a bond with, and those bonds are eternal. And this is that moment right there. Who would have thought?
Yep. That's right. Connecting people, connecting families, social
Mhm.
media definitely is good for that.
It's good for something. It is
Yeah,
good for something.
yeah, yes, it is. Well, let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit about your story.
My story is I grew up playing sports. I grew up playing everything. My parents thought I had asthma when I was young, so it was very important that I participate in activities, especially when you're young and you think you have a kid that has asthma, which it
Mm-hmm.
turned out not to be asthma. It turned out to be allergic reaction to eggs. So they were shoving eggs down my throat uh, and I was having asthma-like symptoms. But
Mm.
it really created a really strong foundational aspect for me in my life, just as an athlete. You know, um, Went on and played high school football and basketball, and then I signed and I played with at North Carolina State during the years where Philip Rivers was there, Mario Williams, Stephen Tulloch, where Torrey Holt went and played with his younger brother. And that was just a great experience. And came back and got into coaching, right? Football was my passion. Never wanted to be a head coach, and I got an opportunity from Manny Diaz, who's at Penn State now,
Mm.
to be a graduate assistant, and did that. Got my master's, and then came back, and I was a head coach at my alma mater for about 15 years. And now I've stepped away from coaching and moved more into what I did, what the majority of coaching was for me, right? Like everybody thinks, oh, coach, and you think of the sport, but the individual disciplines behind what you're doing on a daily basis in terms of just academics and just motivating the kids to get them to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, that's motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Motivation is just uh, moving something in a certain direction, and from there, I figured, why not? Why not start on this? I've been speaking to my teams every morning and every practice for years now, and you know what? Let me see if I can just start doing this without a whistle. So,
Mm.
here I am.
Nice, nice. Speaking of motivation, were you
Yeah.
always that motivated person, like that friend in the friend group who who tried to motivate his friends, or was it something over a period of time that like transformed you into this motivator, the person you are today?
No, it's crazy. There's two things that stood out when I went on this journey right now. But 20 years removed, but everybody used to tell me two things. One, I need to write a book,
Mm.
and two, I should be a motivational speaker because uh, anybody who's been a part of sports or athletics, the majority of your time isn't playing the sport. The majority of your time is spent in preparation of, right?
Mhm.
Like the football season starts in January in the weight room, and I'm always the guy like we're in the squat rack or we're in the bench, and I'm like, your opponent is working right now, right? Like get that in your mind right now. There's some kid at uh, Miami High or at Southwest, and he's in the squat rack right now. Is he out squatting you? Is he out
Mm.
working you? Is he out grinding you right now? Like the fact that you're not thinking about it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Right now, I'm telling you right now, it is happening. What are you doing? Are you pushing a little bit harder? And we all do it when we work out, right? We have 10 reps and we kind of come up with excuses at rep 8, or we don't put on a little bit more weight when we're doing. So I was always the guy who was always saying, "Hey, look, put five, put 10 pounds extra, and make that for that guy that you're going to face in about 8 months. Put work in for them." So it it is actually it's almost like me returning to my childhood,
Mm.
a little bit more articulate, right, and a little bit more fact behind what I'm saying, in terms of what exercise can do for us as human beings and as individuals. Um, Dispelling some concept like the number one concept. If I ask you, where's your brain? Everybody's gonna say it's in their head,
Mhm.
but the majority, you have more of your brain distributed throughout your body than you have in your brain.
Mm.
So how are we treating that? How are we moving our bodies? And what are the effects of the inactivity that our daily routines have? And just because just because you're aware of them doesn't mean that the consequences aren't aware of you. Those consequences believe in you, whether you believe in them or not. So, like, if there's anything I can say, I would stand up on the tallest building and scream it out loud. Like, we need to start being more active. Like, activity needs to be a part of our daily regime, just like brushing our teeth. And it doesn't matter in what way. If you want to run, if you want to walk, if you want to just do 20 push ups every morning, doing a little something, especially in the beginning of your day,
Mhm.
has a massive change on so many, so many things in your body, so many hormone levels from serotonin to dopamine that you would not believe. And the information is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I agree with you because you know the I ride a bike and I skate,
Hmm.
but like I don't want to get up. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
We get up early to go on those rides, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. But once I
Hmm.
get on my bike and start moving, I'm I'm good.
All,
Like
all
you know,
all of that all of that disappears.
yeah.
And I call it, but and I love listening to David Goggins.
Mhm.
And his main staple is we always have two voices. You
Mhm.
have a warrior voice and you have a pathetic voice. And we are creatures of luxury. Like
Yes.
we're living in the best time to be a human being, right? If there's anything you want to know, it's a hey Siri away. If there's
Mhm.
anything you want to do, like you can literally do and have anything, and that luxury has made us lazy in many rights, right?
Mm.
So uh, get out there and do something, and what it does in terms of the boost of your physical and your physical well-being, but your mentality, the dopamine that's released, the I think it's the body differential neurotropic factor after exercising, where science can actually tell you like physical differences in your brain, right? In
Mhm.
After walking 15 minutes a day, the gray matter and the white matter in your brain increase. Your gray matter, of course, is your brain in general, And then the white matter is your ability for neurons to communicate. I call white matter the Wi-Fi. So it's after exercising 15 minutes a day, your thoughts are a little bit more crisper, right? When you ever feel like you're in a fog or in a daze or anything like that, um, there's certain things in terms of hormones as it pertains to dopamine and serotonin that there's certain things that are better to do in the morning and there's certain things that are better to do in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this information is a Google search away,
Yeah.
for anybody. So, really, like you're a human being. You're going to be you tomorrow. What's the best thing that you can do for you
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow? And that's love. How much
Yeah.
do you love yourself? And love isn't words. Love is actions. Like I tell my high school students, like, and they're in that phase of puppy love and all that other good and great stuff. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they're telling you that they love you, but they're kissing somebody else in their face, in your face, what do you believe? You believe what they do. Well, you've got to treat yourself the same way. Do you
Mm-hmm.
love yourself? And don't just say yes. Really sit back and analyze your actions. How much are you investing in yourself from a physical standpoint? I'm not saying to go and try and be a bodybuilder or anything like that, but understanding how the effects and how positive it is for us to get out and move in whatever way, shape, fashion, or form can only just drive you to not hit that snooze button and get to going, get to grinding, on a daily basis.
I agree with you. But how, so for the people, so how do you motivate someone who 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 who's unmotivated? Like,
Yeah,
like
right. Okay. How do you? Well, one, it's like we like to be entertained better than educated because when you're educating yourself, you're actually killing parts of yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
those parts of yourself are they know you, right? I think the first thing that we've got to be able to do is we got to stop lying to ourselves, right? Like the number one issue, the number one problem I see today is everybody's lying, and we get sensitive when people lie to us because we lie to ourselves so much. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. So that's one. Two, I think it's the expectation. Like you don't need to become a bodybuilder. I'm saying a 10-minute walk. You can't do a 10-minute walk, like, and you really just got to sit down, and go and then I think the more important thing is, you brush your teeth this morning. So just because you brush your teeth this morning doesn't mean that you're not going to brush your teeth tomorrow. Like
Mm-hmm.
motivation is something that you have got to do on a daily basis. It's a continual thing. So the expectation about, oh, I'm going to be moved some way, shape, or form that's going to last a long uh, 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 for 6 months, that's going to get me up and going. No, right? So that's that first thing. The first thing is we've got to redefine how we define the concept of motivation. Then
Mm-hmm.
they've got to redefine who they see in the mirror. I think it's for me, and this is going to be my second book. It all comes back down to courage, love, and discipline. And I didn't define those words using the words in the dictionary. I defined those words with my words. So courage is the willingness and the ability to move forward, understanding the good and the bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have courage. You have the courage to take the game-winning shot because you also understand that you could miss the game-winning shot.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you could still miss it, you'll still be willing to take it. That's courage. Love is your willingness to sacrifice for the person that you will be in 10 years, uh, uh, as opposed to who you are right now, right? Like I'm willing to, like, right now, I don't want to get up, but because I know who I am tomorrow or in 10 years will appreciate
Mm-hmm.
that fact, I'm going to do it. And then discipline. Discipline is using the information that you have gained via experience or just technology or information uh, to make better decisions, right? And it's do what you know you're supposed to do, and Don't do the things you know you're not supposed to. You know, it's not complicated, but we're not masters to our own slaves, and we all have that,
Right.
right? Like, how do you make yourself do something? Well, you don't always listen to yourself. You are a stubborn SOB,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you've got to define your why, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nietzsche said it. As long as you have a why, you can conquer anyhow. Why should you work out? Well, hey, if you really have a problem in terms of um, of gaining that motivation, do you sit down, do the research? You can listen to a podcast on on the physiology of the body, and as it pertains to your health, we like right now. If you watch the news, you would think everybody's getting shot up. You would think that the world is going, like, more people die of bullets and fighting and aggression. Now more people die every day because of obesity than anything else right now. Than the diseases that are caused from sugar intake, for one, is a bigger killer than anything else. And our sedentary lifestyle is the number one killer right now. So do you love yourself? And if you love yourself, you're going to be willing to sacrifice for yourself in the form of activity.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to go, oh, I'm gonna go get a trainer, or I'm gonna go do this. Well, nah, make it a habit that's so small, when especially when you're starting it. Make it so small that it's impossible not to do. I
Mm-hmm.
started off, I had to do 5 minutes, 5 minutes of an ab routine every morning. And then once you get that habit built, now you can stack it. Now the 5 minutes is easy. Now you move it to 10. Now you
Mm-hmm.
move it to 15. Now you go to 20. And now instead of abs, now I'm walking. Now instead of walking, now I'm running. Now instead of just running, now I'm working on my breathing. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on how I focus. Now I'm working on, so it the first thing is start small. If
Yeah.
there's anything that you can do, if you're saying, "Oh no, I'm not motivated," like, you know, hey, look, at the end of the day, and as adults, there are many times, you know, I think people don't grow up until they have kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, there are so many times where your kid might be crying, or your kid. So what? Because you don't feel like it, you're not gonna feed your son, right? like, like, let's stop talking about our feelings, and let's start talking about the truth. You got a cat, or you got a dog, and or you have a goldfish, and the goldfish tank is dirty. You just gonna let it sit there and rot? Your dog piss on your couch. You just gonna sit there because you don't feel? Nah. You
Mm-hmm.
know, life ain't about what you get. Get out your feelings and do what you know is right. And if you don't know, if you really don't know, do the research. Do the research. Information has always been held captive from us as
Mm-hmm.
individuals. It was the number one way in which people kept people down in the past. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
ancient times,
Mm-hmm.
right? They used to. There were some of the things that took place in just uh, in deterring people from educating themselves. I mean, you can look all of that up, but information has always been the thing that has been held captive. And we are living in an age right now where any amount of information is a "Hey Alexa" or a "Hey Siri" away, so you don't have an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know, so from the time that you know that, you're gonna have to go, and you're not always gonna feel like it. But she, see,
See, there
I'm
she
talking
go.
to her. She always listening. She always listening. Sometimes she laughs at my jokes when I'm talking to myself. but but that's it. It's starting small, and you're not always going to feel like it, but you're going to do. You got to ask yourself, do you love yourself? That's the biggest thing. Do I love myself? And you don't judge your loved ones by what they say. You judge them by what they do.
Mm,
Again, if you're married or you're in a relationship and your significant other is screaming, "I love you," but then they turn in and they're kissing someone else in their mouth, and then turn right back mid tongue, "I love you, I love you, I love you." It's the same thing. The same way you wouldn't judge their words is the same way you shouldn't judge yourself, and really meditate on the concept of, do I love myself through my actions? And if you're going out and you're working out and you're doing a little something, then you can say yes, and then of course that branches out. My again, like I brought up the second book, uh, courage, the pinnacle, the foundational aspects of courage is eating right, working out, and sleeping right. Everybody has the power of sleep, the information about sleep and what it does for your circadian rhythm, what it does for your hormone levels, what it does for you, is, I mean, it's been linked to Alzheimer's, it's been linked to diseases, it's been like the links are ridiculous. And we have a mental health crisis right now that's going on, especially with our youth. So um, as you build on those foundational principles, those are the three. Those like if you're gonna have courage, you got to be doing something. Again, nothing crazy. Yeah, I live in 2022. I got two 7-year-old twins. I still go to McDonald's on Fridays. I probably shouldn't. I still get my Big Mac, no cheese with a sweet tea, and they get their Happy Meals or whatever. But there are other aspects of my eating habits that I'm that I'm that I'm deliberate about. I'll say it that way. And over the last over the last 6 months, I've lost like 55, 60 pounds.
Wow.
On just 30 minutes of working out, being more intentional about how I eat on my diet, and it's really simple. 50% of my plate is vegetables, and then I eat whatever else I want. And then I have my alarm clock goes off at 4:04 for me to get up and grind, but I have a bedtime alarm too at 9:15 that it starts telling me to wind down. So, in those three things, you can see massive change. If you make little changes in those three things, you will see massive change, and then you're gonna feel better.
Yeah.
Right? Then I mean, it's different when you walk in the mirror with your shirt off and there's an ab you didn't see since you were 15. It got it does a little something more for your confidence. You walk around a little bit different. You thinking a little bit different. And like I said, more of your brain is in your body. So if your body is better, you're thinking better, you're moving better, you're living better. Because it don't matter if you're looking at the clock or not. We're all on a countdown timer. Right?
Yeah.
It don't matter who you ask, how much money they got, don't matter. We all going. We're this phase is going to end. So
Yes.
how are you being deliberate about how you're doing it on a day in and day out basis?
Shucks. You good. Because now I want to go out and ride my bike. I want to take a walk. I want to do something right now.
but it's when you're in that flow, right? It's it's great because you also know that feeling
Yeah.
of you hit on a bike ride, or you might not really feel like it, or it's cold and you're sore a little bit, and you got to kind of just go, and then you start rolling, and then all of a sudden you in phase, and then you don't even holy, oh man, like I said I was going to go out and run a mile this morning. Just I try and run. I don't even really. I call it rock. Right. I run and I walk.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll just do a mile. I ended up doing 3 because once you get in it and those endorphins start running and start going, you before you know it, and then when you're done, you say, I did that. Like we know, in order to achieve positive motivation, you have to have an aim. And that is truthful for who we are as people. Look at, like, when your eyes look and gaze, you see absolutely everything in your eyesight, but you really only see what you look at. Like, what are you focused on?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we are focusing animals, we are focusing creatures. So you have to have a focus. And when you see yourself moving towards what you focused on, you achieve dopamine spikes. Now, what drives dopamine crazy is maybe not knowing for sure whether or not you'll get it. that's the thing that drives you crazy. Maybe I can run a mile in 15 minutes, or maybe I do 14, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But having an aim and you actively seeing yourself pursue that aim is how our bodies are made. Is how we're how we were crafted.
Mm-hmm.
So lean into that. You know.
Yeah, I agree. The the mindset shift, staying consistent, um, changing your habits, all little steps, like you said,
Hmm.
um, will build you up over time. Like you said, oh, I just and like Shadrach said, I just started walking. Then,
Hmm.
I walked to the end of the block. Then the
Yep.
next I went to another block. And then I
Yep.
started running. And then I started, yeah, we all
Hmm.
start someplace and we go further.
Right. Right. Well,
Um,
and I think the big thing right now, especially when we were talking about social media, everybody wants to compare themselves to what they see
yes.
on. Look, you are the end of you are the only one of you,
Mm-hmm.
flat out, straight up and down. Between everybody who listens to this podcast, something different is going to jump out to everybody that listens to it.
Mm-hmm.
They all listen to the same podcast, but because of your individual experiences through your life, you're going to harp on this or you're going to harp on that. Those things are going to jump out to each one of us differently because each one of us are different. Everybody is special. But
Mm-hmm.
because everybody is special, that means no one is. So what's really special is what you do. And
Mm-hmm.
what you've got to do for yourself is you've got to sacrifice. You got to love yourself. You got to put movement into it. You got to be intentional about it. And we got to stop looking outward and looking inward. We got to
Mm-hmm.
compare ourselves to who we were yesterday and not who we were today, right? Once you stop once you stop comparing yourself to other people, that's the number one motivation that you'll ever have.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know what? Let me, and we know we could beat ourselves up now. We can, right?
Yeah.
Like that's part of having goals and everything like that. But with that said, when you don't achieve something, like congratulate yourself for recognizing the fact. Like we know that if you beat yourself up about it, you're not going to work as bad as good as you would if you were more positive about those things. So
Mm-hmm.
the biggest like reflect. Well, I'll go back to my second book on courage, love, and discipline. Courage, eating right, sleeping right, moving right. Uh, love, artistic creation, right? Do something, right? Like just move, whether it's drawing, whether it's go out and dance, whether, however, just do something different simply because so much of our brain is in our body and our body doesn't speak through words, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
different. So we haven't figured out everything. Sometimes your body is speaking to you. Your body loves you. Or that's all the only person your body has is you. So it loves
Mm-hmm.
you. So in ways that you do a stretch in silence, all kinds of different things are crackling and creaking, right? Spiritual connection, the ties in terms of uh, meditation. What
Mm-hmm.
meditation does for the human brain after 11 hours, not continuous hours. They brought people into this experiment. They brought people into an MRI machine. They did a CAT scan on their brain after 11 days of having 11 day, I forgot how long it was, but it was
Mm-hmm.
after 11 hours of meditation. They could see a difference they could see an increase in the amount of gray matter in
Mm-hmm.
the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is what we use in order to think. It's why we are who we are as the only creatures on earth who could be self-aware, right? So spiritual connection, uh, um, study and scholarship, and artistic creation. On study and scholarship, uh, do research on psychology. What
Mm-hmm.
are we finding out about how we work and how our bodies and our brains work? And research. history from an objective standpoint. Research both sides of whatever warring battle there is. And then discipline is work. We all have to do, there all has to be a relationship with what we have with society. Society is, right, like as messed up as it is, it's what we have built. It's what we have carved out of this, out of nature. So figure out what you want to do. How do you want to make that relationship go? It's work, relationships, and personal development. How do you like? Are you the person that you were when you were 5 years old? No. Are you worse or are you better? I'm hoping a lot. Everybody would say, yeah. Well, I'm hoping we're gonna say we better. Well, if we know that we are continually moving to become better, how about we start being deliberate about that? There are certain ways. There is always something that you can do to make yourself a little bit better. So with those three foundational aspects of courage, love, and discipline, there's another part that comes out, and I call it reality, and that's being intentional and deliberate, um, being able to reflect, and then building habits. And under those predispositions, under those things, I just feel like if you're living your life under those nine basic principles, you're going to be able to start actualizing. And we don't. What's the potential of a human being, right? Like, what could you be? You know what I'm saying? Like really wake up, look yourself in the mirror. What could I be if I was on my grind for let's just call it 2 months? If you just came up with something like I tell my students every morning we get up and you get up, you stand up, you put your hand over your heart, and what do? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United. Like, do you know that? You know the Pledge of Allegiance? Everybody knows the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody, and the United States of America is a great place. It's a grand place. I love it. That's why I'm here. Right? Okay. Not that has it. Is there some bad stuff about it too? Yeah, 100%. But it's a bad with everything. But my point is, you know what the Pledge of Allegiance is. Well, what's your pledge to yourself? Do you have a personal pledge? How can you not have a personal pledge to yourself, but then you tell me you love you? What's your personal pledge? My personal pledge is courage, love, and discipline. I'm just trying to show that and share that and put that out there. And I think it's powerful because it's with me being intentional and deliberate behind how I act, how I put that act out there. I have seen my being and my spirit like just take on a certain aspect. Like I sit down and like you just introducing me right now, calling me an author. That's weird to me, but it's like, damn, if you if if you create a foundation of certain virtues and belief, it's be life, right? Like if you judge what you believe by what you do, I think that I don't know what is the human being possible of. I mean, we see examples of it in every like right now. If we could time travel and we went back 1,000,000 years, right? A million years ago is when we first started using and wielding the capabilities of fire, right? If we showed the cavemen or whoever it was that was wielding that fire, if we showed them this cell phone, what would they say? What would they call us? Right? If we got on a bike, if we pulled up in a car, if we talked to them about a house, right? So, all of these things are ways in which we kind of get lost a little bit, and I think it's time for us to start finding ourselves and being honest with ourselves and stop lying to ourselves, right? Like marketing, uh, how much does it cost to have a commercial during the Super Bowl? Right, it's something crazy, right? Well, I think it means that because your attention means that much. Well, where are you placing your attention? I'm not saying not to listen to Nicki Minaj and all that. You know what I mean? Like we got to bump a little bit too, listen to a little music too, but there should be a certain portion of your day in which you're spending time with whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
right? You said a lot of people say they believe in God, but you only want to believe in God on Sunday, huh? Nah. Spend a little bit of time with what you believe in. Spend a little bit of time like connecting with the ultimate, whatever you believe in. Spend more time on that than you do on your Instagram every day, right? And if you act upon a lot of small differences
Mm-hmm.
on those 9 principles, will yield massive amounts of change.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said, but especially about the being intentional and just making plans and
Hmm.
like you know for me sometimes I say things like yeah I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but I'm just saying it. I didn't put any plan behind it. I'm not, it's just words until
Yeah.
I actually make a plan and start to be intentional about it. And now I, I'm doing it,
Yep.
you
But
know.
we know that in building habits, one, if you write your goals down every day, you have it increases your chances of attaining those goals by 42%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Two is if you're not particular, if you don't break something down into steps, then your chances of actually doing it decrease.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've broken them down into certain steps on how you're gonna get it done, it increases the chances of you actually partaking in it like tenfold. It's ridiculous. Just like, oh, I'm gonna work out. Oh, I'm gonna work out. No, 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 no. I'm going to spend
Yeah.
X amount of days each week for this amount of period, right? So now, like everybody, when we start talking about goals, everybody says, "Oh, I'm going to do something more." Like it's really interesting to me how we use words and the definitions behind the words aren't agreed upon. Where uh, somebody will somebody will a lot of us use words, and then when I say, okay, well, what does that word mean? The definition that they give me, and I deal with I'm doing ninth graders, so it is crazy to hear their definitions of what does love mean to you.
Mm-hmm.
What does and we're seeing a lot of problems in relationships right now. But what does being in a relationship mean to you, right? And now with action, what does it mean? Like you have a goal. What's your goal? Okay, well, you working out more isn't something that you could really define. Be specific about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to like my thing is I'm getting 30 minutes in. I'm waking up at 4:04 every morning and I'm getting 30 minutes in. Period. Point
Mm-hmm.
blank. And in building your habit, you can't miss a day.
Yeah.
That's number one. And then it just becomes automatic. On days that you don't even feel like it, before you even know it, you probably on your bike and you rolling, right? Because you've already built the habit.
Yeah.
And in building that, you just got to be deliberate. You got to be specific, and then you got to hold yourself accountable. Like we don't like liars, and we don't like when we lie to ourselves either, right? So face that, be real with that, and be honest with that, and then the and then it takes care of itself, right? So um, that's what I'm all about.
Well, that's good. That's good. Um, what inspired you to write your 3-book motivational series?
Okay. Um, I as a football coach, I felt like everybody, especially in the coaching world, always hangs their hat on the kids that play for them that are in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or the kids that play for them that go to college. And that's the minority. And I was just like, no, I'm going to be a successful coach because I'm going to focus on the majority. And the
Mm-hmm.
majority ain't about, um, it's not about the NFL, right? Like I've had so many kids that were phenomenal high school players. Like they got like whatever God gave them, they got about 10% more. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But but they were 5'9". You know what I'm saying? Like they, physically, and that's fine. That's cool. But so I was just like, no, I want to measure my success on my ability to build a man,
Mm-hmm.
right? With me being in particular with football. Um, and in that, I was like, would spend more time talking about life and talking
Mm-hmm.
about situations than I do football. Football is what, 10 games? There's 365 days out of the year. How many what what are you doing on all the other days? And so what I started off with was, um, every day I'm listening to motivational speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it was Eric Thomas, whether it was Inky Johnson, whether it was Jim Rohn, whether it was Les Brown, whether it was Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, just every day, um, for years. And what we did was every day was a quote every single day from January to the season to everything,
Mm-hmm.
where every morning this was the quote and this is the message, and and um and in that, and then and with having my kids, every time I came around something that I felt was just powerful that moved my spirit, I would I'll take notes and I'll write notes to my kids like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you guys are 2 years old right now, and I see this about your personality, and I see that about your personality, and this quote, this that, just investing in them,
Mm-hmm.
where they're not going to be able to read it now, but it's not about them reading it now. It's about them reading it when they're 17 or 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went through like uh, a depression, really, and that kind of put a pause on everything. And then coming back to it, I was like, why I keep on writing all these notes?
Mm-hmm.
Let me write a book, and that's what this book is. That's what the first book is. The book everyone should read. Where I was like, I want to tell my kids about who they are as individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and I and it wasn't particular to them in terms of their stories of their life. It was particular to what do we know about human beings. So I started off with the five agents of socialization, the five things that make you who you are as a person, and that number one thing is family, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you ain't nothing without your family, especially what you at 1 years old, right? Like if you ain't had no family, where were you?
Mm-hmm.
We're not like giraffes, or we're not like different animals in the animal kingdom that they lay eggs. Sea turtles, right? They just lay their eggs and they gone. Well, we're not like that, So put it just really defining it and saying, who are you, and giving them, in my mind, giving them the information. Hey, you are your
Mm-hmm.
family, your friends, uh, and your faith, along with your school and mass media. And we've got to be honest about mass media. The the amount of information that kids are getting, because it's still only 24 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of information that kids are being able to intake through mass media right now in this age is something that we've got to be a little bit more direct and deliberate about, because it is overtaking in terms of importance. I think it's overtook everything. It's overtook. You'll see families sitting at dinner and
Yeah.
everybody's on the goddamn phone. Like
Yep.
they're there physically, but they're not together,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And those experiences with other human beings, because we know that we're social creatures, they're having real effects, and we got to start speaking out against it, about it. The phone, it's great, it is great, but let's hold on now. You know what I'm saying? Like everything in, you could, like, drinking water is great for you, but if you drink too much, it can kill you. Everything has to
Mm-hmm.
be in moderation. So defining the sociological factors, and then the personality factors. My kids they're growing up in the same house. They shared the same womb, And if you can't tell me that at at 1 month years old, at 1 month, they were different. They're
Mm-hmm.
different. We are born with certain personality constants. There's certain things that we are born with from a personality standpoint. So I went into the personality in terms of conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness, and extroversion. Because I'm like, look, find out about yourself. If I'm extrovert, like if I'm more of an introvert that has learned how to move out into society and
Mm-hmm.
speak in front of people and all that good and great stuff. Like my son is very conscientious, my daughter's very extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing those things about themselves can also help them as they move forward and out into the world. Not to say that just because you're introverted that you can't have a conversation. Well, shit, look at me. I'll tell you right now, I'm an introvert, right?
Mm-hmm.
My wife is an extrovert, where she likes conversation and all of those things or whatever we do, blah 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 blah. But for me, sitting at home 2, 3, 4 days at a time with my laptop with some information going in, I'm in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be bouncing off the wall, right? So um, understanding what these things are about the human being, and then I go into temperament and some archetypical stories, which are stories that are truer than true, right? Like love is older than human beings, just certain concepts like that, and then the power of belief. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you believe you can, whether you believe you can't, you're gonna be right.
Yeah.
What does belief do for you? And then I went into depth about goal setting, and then what do we know about our society? What does it say about people? Where like we know conscientious people with high IQ that are disagreeable are the most successful people in our world, and that's just to say that people who are willing to work hard, who are willing to stand up for what they believe in, and can learn fast. That's what IQ is, how fast you learn. It doesn't matter how much you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the most successful people in the system. And I don't think we could, I don't like, what other factors would we want to base a system off of? So I'm with that. And then how you should move forward in terms of leading yourself, and then being a teammate, being a good person to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened after I like that was what I was gonna write, and that was it. And one day driving into work, courage, love, and discipline, just it rocked me, and I was like, I'm giving people all of this information, but I'm not really giving them any direction.
Mm.
And so the second book was Courage, Love, and Discipline, and I finished with that, done with that, and it's a shorter kind of just boom. I just hit you with the information, and um, and that's dropping in March. I wanted to space them out a little bit, and right now what I'm doing is actions and origins. I'm really tracing each one of the how does each one of the pillars with courage, love, and discipline, what is the truth behind it on a physiological level in terms of um, like we know that 90% of the serotonin in your body is derived from your gut. We know that there are more neurons traveling from your stomach to your brain than your brain to your stomach. We know that what eating does for the body. So each one of each one of the pillars, I'm tracing it back to the science, what we know from
Mm-hmm.
a scientific standpoint that's measurable, and the data that we can get from it. And then from there it's just like then I say I'm done with the writing, and then I'll be able to kind of move on and spread the word. But that's where it started. It was me. Like I don't like I've won. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
my my son right now, he picks up the book and he tries to read it now. I'm like, no, you're not allowed to. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not
Mm-hmm.
allowed to read it yet. And he's like, no, but no, I can. I'm like, no, you can't, no, you can't. And he surprised me the other day. He read a whole page, and there were some
Mm.
words in there I didn't even think. I mean, he's 7, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell? And and he was grinding off of it. So I've sold my 2 copies. The 2 copies that matter for me are, those are sold and books,
Mm.
and they sitting right there. They both, they have the book in their room.
Mhm.
Like, this is what I got to read. So now in that, if I've discovered something that's truthful, and that's my intent, because if there ain't, I don't, I don't love you more than I love my kids, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm on to something, then hey, if it helps people, then it helps people, right? Like, it's a $12 book. Just skip a McDonald's meal and buy it, and there you go. I ain't trying to break the bank or anything like that. My bigger purpose is trying to change people's lives. But you can't make somebody change.
Right.
It's like the phoenix. The phoenix doesn't have somebody else set them on fire. The phoenix sets itself on fire, and then it reborn. It comes back anew. Well, there are portions to ourselves as human beings, and like I said, we like to be entertained more than educated, because when we educate ourselves, we got to kill off certain parts of ourselves, or certain
Mm.
predispositions, or certain concepts that we may believe, and it's hard. But
Mhm.
and everybody will tell you, when you're really trying to grow, when you really are growing as a person, there are, you know, there are certain people that you're gonna have to let out of your life, right? There are certain actions that you're gonna have to let go. But the biggest thing is, there are certain parts to yourself that you're gonna have to let go
Yep.
if you're truly trying to grow. So um, and with those, it's roll like that. So I'm currently trying. We're not trying, but I'm currently going in on this third one and really tracing all of this information which is proven a challenge. But the only way the only way we achieve positive motivation is by setting a challenge before us and seeing ourselves move closer and closer to completion of that challenge. And that's currently where I'm at now.
Dope. That's dope.
Mhm. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, as I read something from Nietzsche, who is it's a parable that said, not really a parable, it's kind of a story, like everybody surrounded by a midget with a really big ear. And he's kind of, his point is, like, don't just sit here and talk about it. Like, everything that I talk about, I live it.
Mhm.
Like if like I said before, like, belief is be life, right? And I think because of marketing and because of all of that other, there's a lot of people out there who they saying shit, like they'll try and sell you something, but they not really participating in it. And I just feel like that's the midget with the big ear. If you believe something, then you live it. And if we can get more people to chase that concept, like, be the change you wish to be in the world, or
Mhm.
be don't just sit here and point the finger at all the things that are wrong. We can always point a finger in the mirror and come up with something, because ain't no one perfect.
Right.
So um, the, develop yourself, and in you developing yourself, you developing everybody around you. Because if you're the best that you can be, every single person that's in your life, that's surrounded by you, because we are a network nodal type species, everybody's everybody gonna win. It's Harry Potter, when they were playing the little broom game, right? When he catches the golden snitch, because he actualize that, the whole team won.
Mm.
And that's that same thing. If each one of us becomes the best that we can be, everybody on the squad is going to eat.
Yeah.
Everybody who's surrounded by, whether it's your children, whether it's your wife, whether it's your co-workers, whether it's whoever, everybody who's in your circle, everybody who's in your network, everybody's level raises. And I feel like, what more can any person really pursue that's better than that?
Mhm.
So Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Right? Don't talk about it. Be about
100%.
it.
100%. You know.
Where could people find out more about you and all the things that you have going on? Purchase your books?
Yeah, motiveinmotivation.com. Uh, I just now launched that site. Everything is coming. Like I said, the second book isn't. It's pre-released. I think I set the date for March 1st, and what I'm currently doing is, uh, like you're hearing me speak and all these other things, or maybe do you want to read this book or maybe not. I'm making little YouTube videos on each of the books that kind of a little 5 minute, 4 minute video or whatnot, and then also if it's something that people are interested in, starting to try and get into the merchandising where you can really wear it, have like
Mm-hmm.
little reminders. So all of these things for me right now are fresh. Like the oven is still, hell, it's not even warm. That shit is still piping hot. Like I haven't even turned off the controls yet. So it's motiveandmotivation.com, or I post little videos on uh, on Instagram is one Roger Pollard, and then RCP, but it's OURSEEP on TikTok, where every morning at 4:04 when I get up, um, I just say a little something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I like my big thing right now is, um, if you're waiting in line and someone jumps and cuts you in line, we get all upset, we get mad, but when the alarm clock goes off and the lazy version of you jumps in front of you and hits the snooze button, you don't get mad at yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when if you go to a store and you buy something and they don't give you the right change, you get mad. But your heart beats for you every day. Your lungs work for you every day. Are you giving your heart and your lungs and your brain its change back?
Mm.
You'll be mad at someone else that they don't do it to you if they do it to you, but you doing it to yourself and you're not getting mad at you, right? Like there is so much power. Are you using all of the power that your body is blessing you with? And if you're not, why aren't you mad at yourself? Why aren't you, get up, grind, get up, do a little something, get up and just stretch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe your workout deal might just be stretching. Start off with stretching, So, but yeah, that's it. Motivation, right? Not all the rah rah rah, which I can do a little football speech too, but but putting the motive into it, putting the
Mm-hmm.
information into it, because the information, um, what information is us putting things in formation. Um, so having those things in formation so that you can use the what you believe, because your belief is what drives your action. So giving more of that sustenance is really where my talks and where my information is going. And like I said, I'm currently building and I'm currently making videos, so that's always going to be getting updated and whatnot with videos and whatnot, and then people can really see me grow
Mm-hmm.
as an artist.
Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. I'll be watching. I'll be
Thank
watching.
you. I appreciate it.
I just want to thank you so much for being a guest. This was a good talk. I'm serious. I feel motivated. I'm about to go take a walk. It's
I
like
got
20
you.
degrees outside.
Ooh,
I'm about to
I'm
go take
allergic.
a walk.
Ooh, you better than me. I'm allergic to cold weather. That's why I'm in Miami. I can't do that cold stuff. Oh, ooh. I I I I'll sit around by the heater and get my stretch in and call it a day from there. Oh, oh, 20? Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's cold.
Ooh. it was freezing here in Miami the other day. It was like 55.
What?
Oh, when it get down to 50, when it gets to the 50s in Miami, some of the coats you see out here it's ridiculous. You think people going skiing or something, you know. But damn, oh my gosh, I can't. I could not.
I'll take 55 in a minute. 55 degrees.
In a heartbeat.
Let me get that.
Heartbeat. One of our neighbors is from Maine, and we did like a little outdoor movie, and it was like 60, but the wind was going a little bit, and all of us Miamis, we was like bundled up and had to go in, get sweaters, get blankets. She was out there with a t-shirt and some shorts. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, no, we're not from Maine. We're from here. But I really do appreciate it. I just, the current phase I'm in now is just trying to get the information out here, and get it in front of people, and hopefully they like it or whatever and whatnot. But thank you for having me on the platform. I do really genuinely appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes.
This has been the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, a.k.a. Tay. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one. Want more Rolling with Tay podcast? Well, follow on Instagram and Twitter at Rolling with Tay. Visit the blog rollingwithtay.wordpress.com for more content, and be sure to sign up for the monthly newsletter. And lastly, subscribe to the YouTube channel Rolling with Tay.